Deep within the wilderness lies one of RuneScape's most dangerous and rewarding dungeons, the Forinthry dungeon, a place where powerful Revenants roam and the echoes of the God Wars still linger. Whether you're looking for a great moneymaker, hunting Revenants for insane drops, or doing Slayer for amazing XP gains, Forinthry has something for everyone. In this video, I'll break down everything you need to know, best strategies, money-making potential, and how to avoid getting ambushed by other players. So stick around because you won't want to miss this. If you love RuneScape 3 content, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest guides and updates. Now, if you're ready to learn the potential this dungeon has, make sure you stay tuned. Let's dive in. Now, if this is the first time hearing of this dungeon, there are two simple ways to get to it. The first way is using the Wilderness Lodestone and running west to the entrance past the unicorns. The second way is using the Wilderness Sword 2 if you have it unlocked to teleport directly into the dungeon. Now, in case you may not know, the Wilderness is a PvP or player versus player area in the game. You may opt out of the PvP by talking to Vala in Edgeville next to the Wilderness Wall. This makes it to where you do not need to worry about other players attacking you while you are in the dungeon. There are a few recommendations I want to go over before diving into the dungeon. These are not required, but do hold a great quality of life. First being the multi-cannon and its restocking perk, requiring the Dwarf Cannon quest completed and using 100 respect in the Artisan's Workshop to get the restocking perk. The Spring Cleaner, since a lot of monsters drop the alkables here. The Seedicide and Herbicide if you want to gain some farming and Herblore XP since most of the creatures drop seeds and herbs. Next, I have the Soul Split Prayer, which requires 92 prayer and the completion of the Temple at Centestin quest. I also have the Demon Horn Necklace with either the Bone Crusher or the Ectoplasmator to help sustain your prayer. Finally, I have Potion Reservoirs that require 112 Invention. Again, these are only recommendations and are not required to have. Located within the dungeon holds 6 different monsters you can slay, being 5 green dragons, 10 greater demons, 8 hellhounds, 8 lesser demons, 9 dark beasts, and 14 different species of revenants, with each one having their own reasons to be slayed. Green dragons are fairly weak, but can still pack a punch with their long-range dragonfire, which can hit between 1800 to 3000 damage. Using any of the Dragonfire shields to protect from magic or deflect magic prayers, anti-fire and anti-fire mixed potions will help to reduce the Dragonfire damage. If using a Super Anti-Fire, Wormfire, Brightfire, Searing Overload, Overload Salve, Supreme Overload Salve, or Elder Overload Salve potions, they would offer full protection from the Dragonfire. Now, if you are a high enough leveled player, you shouldn't need to worry about the Dragonfire since they can be killed pretty quickly. If you're going to try to do this on an AFKable level, it is required to have at least level 70 plus combat stats for that. If actively fighting, you will only need at least level 50 plus. It is also required to have 55 Slayer to be able to harm them. As for the gear, I'm going to go over the minimal AFK setups for each style, which can be used for all the creatures in the dungeon. For melee, we have the Bando set. It doesn't degrade, which saves some GP, and if you want, you can augment it and add the scavenging perk on the legs for those invention materials. As for the aura, we will be using the Vampirism aura. For the cape, we have the Fire Cape if you have it unlocked. If not, then the Bando's Cloak would work just as good. The necklace slot may differ. If you're going to rely on prayers, then you might want to have the Demon Horn Necklace with the Bone Crusher to sustain your prayer. If not, then the Saradomin's Whisper would be used instead. For the ring slot, we have the Luck of the Dwarves or a damage boosting ring like the Warrior's Ring or the Champion's Ring. For the ammo slot, you can leave it empty or wear a Pernix Quiver for the additional prayer bonus, but the Pernix Quiver is quite expensive. For our weapon, any Necronium weapon or Abyssal Whip will do. If not using a Super Anti-Fire, using a Dragonfire shield with a main hand is a must. As for the pocket slot, we will be using the Underworld Grimoire to collect all of the dropped Dragon Bones, and that is if you're not using the Demon Horn Necklace with the Bone Crusher. Now, if you're not going to be using the Bone Crusher along with the Grimoire, you can honestly leave this slot empty as you'll be able to take out the green dragons pretty easily. Now, I'm not a big fan of using melee while fighting monsters with a ranged attack, but if you're using melee, your reroll bar will be Berserk, Meteor Strike, Cleave, Hurricane, Quake, Fury, Assault, Sever, Smash, and Tuska's Wrath if you have it unlocked. Now, if you were to use ranged, everything would be the same except your gear, which would be the Armadillo set. Again, another non-degradable armor that can be augmented if wanted. A Saradomin's Murmur for your necklace slot, an Archer's Ring or Stalker's Ring instead of the Luck of the Dwarves, and for your weapons, you can use a Dark Bow with Dark Arrows if you are using a Super Anti-Fire, or a Corill's Pistol Crossbow with Bolt Racks with a Dragonfire Shield. And if you own a Pernix Quiver, you can throw either your bolts or arrows into it to clean up some of your inventory space. For your ranged Revo bar, it would be Corruption Shot, Death Swiftness, Snapshot, Rapid Fire, Snipe, Piercing Shot, Fragmentation Shot, Tuska's Wrath, and Binding Shot. For all of the magic users, again, everything will stay the same except your gear, which would be the Subjugation Robe set, being another non-degradable armor set that could also be augmented if you wanted to. Saradomin's Hiss for your necklace slot, Seer's or Channeler's Ring instead of the Luck of the Dwarves. For your weapon choices, you could use the Aram's Staff if you're using Super Anti-Fire, or the Aram's Wand and a Dragonfire Shield. If you own a Rune Pouch or Grasping Rune Pouch, it will hold all of your runes and can be placed in the ammo slot. For your magic Revo bar, it would be Sunshine, Corruption Blast, Chain, Tsunami, Omnipower, Dragon Breath, Wild Magic, Concentrated Blast, and Rack. Now for Necromancy, everything once again will be the same except for your gear, using the Tier 70 Death Dealer set, which also gives the passive to invoke death for insta-kills, the Occultist Ring or the Luck of the Dwarves, and using the Tier 70 weapons with a Super Anti-Fire. There is no way to use a main hand and a Dragonfire Shield, since you need both the main and offhand to conjure the Ghost. Now for your Revo bar, it will be the Conjure Ghost, Death Skulls, Touch of Death, Soul Sap, Soul Strike, and Finger of Death. In the end, just bring the best gear you have, especially if you are higher level. The only thing I recommend is to use non-degradable armor just to save on GP over time. As for your inventory, you should have any damage boosting potions, aggression potions, some anti-fire or super anti-fire, your cannon and cannonballs, spring cleaner, gem bag, magic notepaper, and either your enhanced Excalibur or some emergency food. Now, if I was to come here to fight green dragons for a slayer task and make it as fast as possible, I would set up my cannon against the wall in the southeast, as you see me doing. Sip an aggression potion and run towards the middle or a little west of the area. This is to make sure you are attacking all of the green dragons at once. Your cannon will kill a dragon in 3 to 4 hits, while you, depending on gear and a revo bar, finishing them off in 2 to 3 hits. Now, I do not recommend doing green dragons for a moneymaker. You're only looking at about 500,000 GP per hour, along with 14,000 Slayer XP per hour, 15,000 Constitution XP per hour, and 45,000 Combat XP per hour, without using a cannon, making green dragons not worth your time. Even though green dragons could be great for low-leveled players for some XP, there are just better ways. There are 10 greater demons located just west of the green dragons in the southern part of the dungeon, using very accurate magic attacks. The requirements to AFK them would be the same, with 70 plus combat stats and 50 plus combat stats if actively fighting. Even though greater demons come across as a higher tier monster, you only need level 1 Slayer to harm them. The gear setup will be the same as we talked about earlier in the video. The only difference would be using a demon horn necklace with an ectoplasmator instead of a bone crusher if using prayers. Your revolution bars will also be the same, and your inventory will hold the same items except any anti-fires. Now, what I like to do with greater demons is set my cannon up on one side of the area, sip my aggression potion, and go completely to the other side of the same area. That will allow your cannon to kill around 3 to 4 greater demons alone while you're handling the rest. Now, you also don't need a cannon for this method. Aggression potions work nearly just as good, with the exception of losing some kills per hour. And believe it or not, these things give out a shocking amount of XP, being 300,000 combat XP per hour, 203,000 Slayer XP per hour, and 149,000 Constitution XP per hour, all while making around 3.9 million GP per hour as well. Just to think, greater demons are also free to play monsters, so if you're free to play and are watching with a proper setup, this is definitely one of your best methods out there for XP and GP gains. Located just north of the greater demons are 8 Hellhounds. To make these AFKable, you will also need at least level 70 combat stats and 50 plus combat stats if you are fighting actively. Even though Hellhounds don't have a Slayer requirement to harm, it's still required to have 45 Slayer to access one of the best moneymakers in the game, which also requires the Dagon by Mystery to be completed from the Archaeology skill for binding contracts. which, if you did not know, are used to bound a creature inside of the binding contract after killing it to be used later as some of the most useful familiars in the game. To create binding contracts, you will need 200 spirit shards, 1 blue charm, 1 pouch, 2 blood of Orcuses, and 2 hellfire metals at a summoning obelisk to create a single contract. Now, there is a fast method by selling low amounts of your blood of Orcus and hellfire metals to pick up sticks in Taverly and buying them back by 10 each, creating the binding contracts and repeating. You can expect to create around 2,700 binding contracts per hour, but will lose out of some GP since the stock you sold starts to deplete over time and have to buy back the materials at a higher price than you sold. Because they deplete, it's recommended to sell small amounts at a time. Now, as for the gear, you can use your preferred gear choice we talked about earlier in this video along with this revolution bar. Now, for Hellhounds, I highly recommend using magic for the AoE abilities like Chain, Dragon Breath, and Tsunami since those can reach other Hellhounds pretty easily. But any style will work since the Hellhounds are pretty easy to kill. Your inventory will be the same except for bringing some binding contracts for the insane moneymaker Hellhounds hold. Like the other methods in this dungeon, I like to place my cannon on one side, sip an aggression potion, and run to the other side of the area. This works best with the Hellhounds since they are spread apart in this big area. Your cannon will take care of at least 3 to 4 Hellhounds on one side while you are fighting the rest on the other side. Now, if you have binding contracts, you will need to pay attention to your inventory pretty often since it will fill up quickly with the Hellhound binding contracts. Just simply use your magic notepaper on them and wait for your inventory to fill back up. Now, Hellhounds are considered one of the best moneymakers in the game that's not boss related, making around 31 million GP per hour, and that's also including the time it takes to create your binding contracts and expenses. You can also expect around 116,000 combat XP per hour, 66,000 Slayer XP per hour, and 38,000 Constitution XP per hour, making Hellhounds one of the best Slayer creatures in the game. Lesser demons are the weaker version of the greater demons, and there are 8 located just west of the Hellhounds, still requiring 70 plus combat stats to AFK and 50 plus to fight actively. There is also no Slayer requirement to harm the lesser demons. You can use any of the gear mentioned before along with the revolution bars for the respectful style, but I do recommend using Necro or Magic here since they do attack with a long range attack. Now, your inventory will be the same. If you are going to rely on prayers, then bringing the Demon Horn necklace with the ectoplasmator will help sustain your prayer. Now, if you're going to be using your cannon, you would once again place it on one side of the area while you fight on the other side. Again, a cannon is not required as you can just use an aggression potion with the exception of losing some kills per hour. Now, as shocking as the greater demons were, lesser demons hold similar XP gains, being 300,000 combat XP per hour, 104,000 Slayer XP per hour, and 99,000 Constitution XP per hour. You can also expect around 3.9 million GP per hour if you are not using a cannon, and about 3.1 million GP per hour if so, making lesser demons, like its stronger version, a solid choice for free-to-play players to train their combat skills. Next, we have 9 Dark Beasts located on the most western side of the dungeon, requiring 70 plus combat stats to AFK and 50 plus for actively fighting. Dark Beasts also have the highest Slayer requirement in the dungeon, being at level 90 to harm. Now, I would recommend using melee or magic while fighting the Dark Beasts, with both having really good AoE abilities in the revolution bars. But all styles will get it done just at different paces. Melee would probably be the best since you will be in a tiny area with them all around, but you may have a few that get stuck a little north behind a pillar. That's why magic is suggested with the chain ability to be able to reach them. Now, if you were to use a cannon, it's best to place it just north of where the herd of beasts are at since you have a few that spawn up there and won't react to your aggression potion. It also helps with the ones that get stuck behind that pillar while using the melee style since it will be able to handle them all by itself. Being a higher Slayer level creature does come with some decent gains, being 300,000 combat XP per hour, 207,000 Slayer XP per hour, 98,000 Constitution XP per hour, and could expect around 4.9 million GP per hour. Dark Beasts also do have a notable drop being the Dark Bow, which is an item needed to be collected for your Slayer collection log. Altogether, Dark Beasts are a solid creature for mid-level players for XP and GP gains. Now, the main reason, or possibly the only reason, to come to the Forinthry dungeon are the Revenants. Now, there are 14 different Revenant creatures located in the northeast part of the dungeon. Since there really isn't any really great AFK method for Revenants, you will need to be active to fight them for the best rates, which does require 70 plus combat stats for the active this time, as some Revenants are strong and all have the ability to heal themselves when they reach 50% health. And like majority of the creatures inside of this dungeon, there is no Slayer requirement to be able to harm them. The only creature in the entire dungeon that requires to be a member to kill is the Revenant Dragon, which is the highest XP yielding Revenant. Revenants are killed for many things, most notably the expensive drops and the chance at receiving a Revenant pet. The pet has 14 different variations that resemble each of the Revenants, and being a 1 in 1016 chance for the drop as a whole. Chances are, you could be in the dungeon for a while chasing after the pet. As for the drops, it's not like any other creature. Revenants do not drop an item on every kill. Every item they drop all have a low drop rate, including coin drops. You can increase the drop chances by using a Revenant drop enhancer, which may be obtained by killing a number of different creatures or purchasing from the deathmatch reward shop for 200 deathmatch points. But sadly, the Revenant drop enhancer does not increase the odds for the pet. For the gear, I suggest using the magic setup with the new spell Crumble Undead, which gives a 30% boost when fighting the undead, along with the Salve Amulet E, which also increases your attack towards undead by an additional 20%, and using the same revolution bar spoken of before. Now, what I typically do is set up my cannon on the east side of the area, dealing with the lower level Revenants, while running in a circle from the Revenant Dragon in the north, then running northwest to fight 3 separate Revenants, then run south and kill 3 more in the small building area, run back towards the center, and finish off whatever Revenants still linger with the cannon, or until the Revenant Dragon respawns. Doing this helps increase the odds of getting a huge drop like the Statius Warhammer or finding a pet. Now, each Revenant holds their own different XP gains, but in the end, by killing them all, you can expect around 122,000 combat XP per hour, 77,000 Slayer XP per hour, and 40,000 Constitution XP per hour. As for the GP you can expect, it varies. Since the drop rates are really low, there is even a chance of coming out negative using a cannon, and could even be hours before getting that first rare drop, which does make it hard to calculate the GP per hour. But even if you went on for 10 hours and got a Statius Warhammer as a drop, which is priced at 77.6 million GP, it would still equal to around 7 million per hour. But in the end, it's up to you if you're willing to go that long without a drop for a chance of some high rewards. Overall, fighting Revenants and receiving the pets is definitely, in my opinion, something to brag about. But that does come an end to this video. If you guys found anything useful or interesting, make sure to hit that like button. If you're interested in me showcasing more areas in RuneScape 3, make sure to comment what area you want me to do next. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more location talking points or even more AFK guides. But until next time, I hope you stay safe. See ya.